This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text this show on 81215. I love it when you do that. You can follow this show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. I also like that. Email the show via the Absolute Radio website. Perhaps best of all. Okay.
Let's open with a query from the outside world.
Okay.
From Gary Armstrong. What are the chances of you coming to Abu Dhabi, Frank?
I don't know, where is it? It's one of those places I only hear about in the context of Manchester City. I know nothing else about it.
We've also had a lot of people, Fran Robo being one of them, loved you on the One Show tonight. You seem to have a story about everything.
Yes, that is true. That is the advantage of being senior.
I could listen to you all day.
Oh, that's lovely. That's not from my partner, Kat.
Well, Justin Gillam says, I'm sorry, but that was the best episode of the One Show there's ever been.
Don't be sorry, Justin.
Well, I tell you what, Frank, he's added in the One Show, so that's handy for you.
Oh, yeah, it is good.
You'll get asked back.
I mean, I felt it was one of those nights I was a little bit crowbar-y.
Oh, yeah.
You know when the questions aren't quite good enough and you have to move the answers a bit of a distance away from them. I thought I've got some good answers here. If you're not going to ask the right questions, I'm going to do them anyway. So it was one of those.
Don't alienate them.
No, I love them. Alex Jones is one of my favourite television. I could tell you a story about her being very, very kind to a young girl that I know, but I won't go into it. But she's a lovely woman. And Ronan, the only man ever to wave to me on stage when I arrived at a gig. Yeah. What a guy. But it was great. And James Corden, of course, was on the big screen. I made the point that I've done a few chat shows of late with some people are on the big screen.
Oh, nice.
And I find they tend to put the what you might call the top end celebrities on the big screen because their management don't want to risk them in the studio, whereas my manager's probably thinking, well, get him in there, this could save me an awkward conversation somewhere down the line. when I drop him. So yeah, you're always sitting there with these great stars 10 times bigger than you are on a screen. You think, all right, I get it. I get the point. I also miss the satellite delays of yesteryear. Do you remember that?
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
You'd say, so how's it going in New York today? And there was a terrible wait. Oh.
And we were all so accepting and tolerant of it.
Yeah.
Now, it'd be off.
Still, it was... I like the One... It's a very pleasant experience, the One Show, I must say.
That's good.
Oh, you should put that on a little Google review.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I'm sure.
A very pleasant experience.
TripAdvisor. I wonder if One Show have got a TripAdvisor.
Do you think when they named the One Show that the BBC were anticipating it being so popular there would be a Two show which was on BBC Two and was a little bit more edgy than the One Show, and then they never quite got the momentum?
Yeah.
That's a shame.
I wonder if that's...
I know they were going to do a 4 show where they all...
On BBC 4, yeah.
Which they'll talk about poetry and smoked.
Well, basically they'd have a lot of old Top of the Pops on. That's basically what BBC 4 used to be, people talking about poetry.
Yeah.
Now it's mainly Top of the Pops, which is fine.
Yeah.
I tell you something about BBC 4. We don't really plug TV shows that we aren't anything to do with.
No.
But there is a Delia Derbyshire documentary on BBC 4 Sunday night about the woman who at least partly devised you with me?
Yeah.
Doctor Who theme, BBC Radio Workshop, radiophonic workshop. It'll be great.
Al, you've gone very quiet. You're not going to be tuning into the Delia Derbyshire documentary.
Yeah. I was actually passing out whether or not that was the Doctor Who theme tune or not.
No, it was. Sorry, I can't do it as well as the BBC Radiophonic Workshop. I don't know the equipment
It's not got
here.
the production values, has it?
I've got this. There's so many buttons and switches around me. I mean, doing this show is like sitting in a 747. I mean, most of them, it's like my car dashboard. I probably know what 3 of them do, and the rest are just strangely symboled.
What about when the cup of coffee comes up? Have you ever had that on your car?
No.
Oh, I have a cup of coffee on mine.
What does that mean?
I think. All right, Al, calm down. I believe it means it might be time for you to have a stop. Have a motorway stop. This car senses that you're driving.
You know, there's people listening to this whose cars don't have cup holders, let alone these reminders.
People who... Do you remember, there used to be a thing when I learned to drive where you were supposed to put a pint of beer on your bonnet, and if you could change gear without it spilling, then you'd got a nice smooth gear change in action.
Wow.
It's lovely to encourage a pint of beer on the bonnet.
Yeah, well, most drivers add a pint of beer with them, so they might as well put it on the bonnet.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
We were just reminiscing about the choke on a car and how to use it. Any younger people listening, just trust me on it.
Yeah.
It's the thing that you pulled out or pushed in. Like, if there's any organists listening, you'll get a sense of it.
Is there one on there?
Well, they pull out the stops, don't they? That's their thing. Yeah, so...
Is that where the phrase comes from?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh,
they don't drive the younger people.
Don't they?
No. No.
Can't they?
But I think they do.
No, I think there's a record low in people taking their driving test, apparently. Because they take they have the bike and they're very environmentally friendly.
Skateboard, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Let's not forget
the pogo
skateboard.
stick.
The electric scooter thing.
And those middle-aged men you see on those little children's scooters going around.
Oh, what do you make of them?
I think they're fine people. Did you watch the Brits this week?
I'm still getting over the way you said fine.
Did somebody arrive on a scooter?
No, I don't think they did. I can't remember. Somebody arrived on a tube train, I think.
We've had someone in touch re the Brits, though.
Oh, yeah.
It's Matthew who says, following Frank's who knew moment after he discovered Little Mix the other year,
Oh, yeah.
I just wondered if Frank had watched the Brits this week and did he have a who knew moment this year? Very fine work on the One Show, by the way.
The One Show.
Owls were cute, but Frank had better lines.
Well, there were owls. I'll tell you what they did to me on the One Show, in case you didn't see it. At the end, they read out about 5 or 6 viewers' texts about things they'd liked on the show, which didn't include me.
Oh.
It included a bit of footage of owls in bright daylight, which must have been the BBC saying, the bloke must have said, well, they're nocturnal. Just get it, we can't film at night. Can you just get them out?
Isn't that a bit like when people are kept awake by
I think
enemy armies?
Yeah, I think it was sleep
can't see
deprivation,
owls.
torture of owls.
Yeah.
They must have looked terrible.
So these
because
owls,
they must have very puffy
owls
eyes.
in bright daylight. I mean, that can't be right, can it?
That's Peter Stringfellow in bright daylight.
You know what it's like with these camera crews? Yeah, the thing is, we can't hang around all day, mate. So anyway, so they read out these texts at the end saying, "Oh, I love James Corden, he's brilliant. Oh, no, weren't those? I love the wildlife." Nothing. And I said to them, if I'd have been hosting the show, I would have made one up about me. I was the only person there. There's only me and them. Everyone else was on video.
Did the owls turn up in person?
Even
No.
the
owls
got-
manager arranged for them.
There was I think there was a stoat or something in the same footage, and they got praise. Big up for the stoat. Nothing for me. I would have made that up personally. It's all about the word guest is the key. You're being treated special. So
Anyway.
I watched the Brits, which featured I think almost. Now, already legendary version of It's a Sin by Sir Elton John, whose version was... I think he had one of those, those clamps people used to have on their teeth to stop them eating. I think he's working in one of them at the moment. But Ollie Alexander did the main lead vocal. It was the guy from the drama It's a Sin. He sings like a boyd. He sings like a boyd. He's. I didn't even know he was a singer. But
He was in a
tremendous.
band, wasn't he?
But there is a problem I have with It's a Sin. Is that, you know the bit that goes... I always go, baby, I love you. And it absolutely leads you into the Barry Manilow.
Yeah.
Has anyone done a nice little remix of that? That'd
I
be
don't know,
great.
but if there's anyone out there who knows the buttons, you can have that one on me. Is he drowning? He's drowning! He's drowning! Get someone else and drowning! Oh, God.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We, on this radio show, were given letters a few months ago. Not letters, saying that we're key workers. Yeah?
I know.
I'm very proud of it. If you're a broadcaster, apparently, there's an element of Good Morning Vietnam. You know, we're again in the war zone, still broadcasting. And I noticed that the Brits, that the audience, he said, it's all key workers tonight. And I thought, oh, really? I don't think I got the...
Frank, for heaven's sake.
Come
I think it was
on.
NHS, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't just NHS. I'm not begrudging the NHS, but, you know, there must have been the odd single seat. They always say that. There's always a single seat empty somewhere.
You can't go on your own.
I'd have gone on my own, sat with the NHS. Imagine sitting there going, I've had this thing in my shoulder. Any ideas?
No, you'd be going there going, hello, Frank Skinner, key worker. Can you let me through, please?
Key worker. It's a good job there was some nurses in the audience for Elton.
How did he look, Elton? Did he have one of
he
his
looked
nice
good.
Versace Jackitos?
He looked good. He was no shell suit. Sans shell, he was.
He always
Well, I suppose in lockdown he's been wearing tracksuits all the time, so
I
it's
bet he
nice to
has.
get dressed up.
He's had enough of them, Al.
No, I thought he looked pretty good, actually. He looked like one of those, you know, those sort of older American stars who sort of age gracefully. I think at the piano is better for an older man than the guitar.
Yeah.
Sitting down, you know, someone to lean on. Yeah. So he worked well on that. And, of course, he's next to Ollie Alexander, who looks like he weighs 7 stone and he's in tremendous shape and sings like a boy. Like a boy. So it was a tremendous... I tell you what, it was a night I've never seen so many collaborations. It was a collab fest.
Was it? Who else do they have?
Oh, it was always, you know, there are always people like Tyro Z and and MC Mingle. They're all called stuff like I don't know.
MC Mingle's in a lot of collaborations.
Yeah, he's good, MC Mingle. He very gregarious.
It's a real social butterfly.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and MC's actually his initials. It's like H. Samuel. It's like Martin Christopher Mingle. But Martin Mingle, he thought people didn't take him seriously in the grime world. So he went for MC.
I like that of called Martin.
But I love that. Martin Mingle now with who? No, you guys, not an option. Not an option in the grime universe. Yes. But good luck to him. If he's fictional, why am I wishing him good luck? Why they just made him up? It's like being God. Think of them and you've got to start being nice to them straight away.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
As you know, I've spoken before on this show about I am absolutely gobsmacked by any collaboration that anyone has got the courage to go up to someone and say, do you fancy doing this thing together?
Yeah, but I know, but that's because it didn't go so well when you wrote to Alan Bennett.
No. Well, he was nice, Alan Bennett, but...
Well, if anyone doesn't know...
I asked him if he wanted to write... me and him should write a play together.
You wrote to him?
Yeah, this was like 25 years ago when I was, you know... Hey, come on! Whoa, and I don't know if I was quite right for... I don't know if we'd really work well together.
What did he say?
He sent a lovely letter about I'm not a very good collaborator, I think was what he said.
So cool.
Or was that from Maurice Chevalier? to the Nuremberg Committee. I can't remember. But anyway, it fell through the Skinner Bennett play, which is fair. No, but I just
fell at the first hurdle, actually, if you think about it.
But Al, have you ever approached another comedian and said, "Why don't we do something together?" Have you ever tried that?
I think Nando's is probably the most I've ever approached another comedian for. Shall we go for lunch?
Oh,
We're
yeah,
both
even
working in the
that.
same
I
town.
can't even do that from fear of rejection.
Very, very proud, very proud animal, the comic.
Yeah, but imagine, the example I always use is the Wimbledon singles. Somebody went up to Martina Navratilova and said, "What about me and you being a doubles team?" What?
Well, what about you and David Baddiel? Who
That's what I
asked
was
who?
thinking.
Do you remember how the collab?
Did it
I
just
mean, you've been in
blossom
one of the most
organically?
exactly. You've been in a very famous collab.
I'm sure he came to me.
God, David, if you're listening, I'm sure you'll put us straight.
By the way, the producer just told us, speaking of collabs, that the Pet Shop Boys were due to do that with Ollie Alexander, and then they pulled out. She said last minute, but she's terrible gossip at the best of the time.
You're not
I remember when I did the Royal Variety. Do you remember that? And
very discreet.
remember when I did the Royal Variety, Rod Stewart pulled out on the day.
Oh, did he?
And
happened? Oh, he had problems with his trousers.
he woke up and he hadn't got a sore throat.
Get a jingle. It's a good one. It's worthy of a jingle.
So, I wonder what happened with the pet. It might be some terrible, tragic thing, so we shouldn't probably dwell on it, on what's essentially a light-hearted radio show.
Okay.
It might just be that they put on their jeans and realised that they've
Didn't fasten.
got a bit. Yeah, they've got a bit of a bulge from lockdowns.
When I was on the one show, that was my second suit. I put the first suit on and I couldn't fasten the trousers. Tragic. So I've got various phases in my life where the suits are from, where I was a bit bigger, and that's my safety suits. But I like to try one of the slim period suits just to see. But it didn't work at all. Just letting you know, a little bit of behind the scenes there on the Frank Skinner Show. I know you guys love a bit of that, eh?
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Oh, I tell you, I did a webinar this week. Do you know what a webinar is?
It's an online seminar, is it not?
Well, yes. I hadn't heard the term before. I've got to be straight with you.
Quite common.
It was a... Oh, sorry.
Have you been drinking from my cup, Al?
I did a webinar on the subject of maths anxiety.
Oh, yeah.
And it's about kids who, the minute maths comes up, they panic. And I was that child as well. This is not me trying to sort it out late. I'm doing it on behalf of my child. But they talked about this thing I find interesting.
Although many would say that is you trying to sort it out.
Oh, maybe. Maybe. Good point. Oh, God, I wish we could do a webinar on that. Anyway, they talked about growth mindset and fixed mindset. So fixed mindset is I'm no good at maths. Growth mindset is I'm going to get better at maths by working hard at it. Yeah. And I think we were talking about it, me and my partner. She's very fixed in the I'm no good at that. Remember I once told you I had convinced myself if I had a fight with a lion that I really feel I could come on top by a series of underhand tactics.
Yeah.
I think as long as you hold the neck so the teeth can't get at you, and getting close to the chest so the claws are slightly, then you attack the nether regions hard. You're getting sodden and hard. And there is part of me like that believe. If somebody said to me, "We need a new opera for the Royal Opera House," I reckon I could come up with one. I've just got that.
Wow.
Is it? I was about to say I'm not like that, and then I realised that I once said I could easily beat Usain Bolt in the 100 metres.
Exactly.
I think I'm of your mindset. So what does that make me?
That makes that growth mindset.
Oh, which one are you, Al?
Well, I'm quite fixed mindset, but you guys aren't growth mindset. You're deluded, I think, is the problem here.
That's someone with a fixed mindset.
Yeah.
Do you know, that's exactly
You don't think I could write an opera? We must have all fantasised of having a really good musician who you can just go to da 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 da, and they'll go ding ding ding, and you think write that down. Write that down, Jeff. That's the opening. Write that down, Jeff.
Poor Jeff.
Print it, Jeff. Print it.
Jeff is so long suffering.
If I could find a Jeff who was suitably talented / subservient to take that role, I could write an opera in a week. And I don't mean an opera, I mean an opera which would tour the world. I could be wrong.
I think the person that came up with the fixed versus growth mindset was a professor called Dweck, D-W-E-C-K.
Oh, good knowledge.
I think it might have been disputed now. I think it might not be as powerful as we once thought it was.
Don't undermine my maths anxiety webinar, Al. Let me dream a little, will you?
Or maybe I am.
Al, that is such a fixed mindset thing to say.
Yeah, I mean, come on, Al. You are so fixed. I think it's an interesting idea.
I love it.
I honestly think now I could... not physical things. I'm not saying I could be heavyweight champion of the world. That is ridiculous.
Well,
I don't think I could do that.
Maybe.
I genuinely still think I would be in top 3 position of the 100 metres, though.
Fair play.
Oh, it's all right to have growth mindset when it comes to you. You're writing operas.
I know, but
I'm not allowed to get a bronze.
Yeah, but I'm not I'm not doing physical things. You know, I've at least come to terms with that.
You're fighting a lion.
Oh, just get off me. Maybe we should go to the...
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. Text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via the Absolute Radio website. It's an interactive thing, you see, so your involvement makes it a richer and more vibrant experience for all of us. There you go. Fair summary, I think, of... I didn't mention the 50p in it. I thought that would have dragged it down.
No.
Yeah.
But I do, while you're there, while we're all here, I would like to take us back to last week's show, because our readers...
I wish we had some music that went... That's until we went back, but I don't. I've got something a little bit mystical and whimsical. We're back. We're back in last week.
That's a lovely blast.
I know I'm doing the show down the line so you can't see it, but I was actually crouching down and doing that dancing where I stick my leg out.
I'd love to have seen that.
You're doing the
Describe
Cossacks.
that.
That's
right, yeah.
I'd love to.
Doing that. I loved Al doing the Cossacks.
Surprising that I'm not out of breath, really.
I'm not. You know what? I'm not surprised that you aren't. I know how fit you are.
I can see you there with a bear coming into view, and then you might have a little wrestle.
Used to be very much like if there was a variety show on the TV, you'd get those blokes dancing with their bum 6 inches off the stage. What happened to those guys?
Yeah.
Probably a lot of them danced under toilet cubicles and were cancelled. So I'm imagining. So I'm guessing it went for those guys. Igor, you're the last one. Okay.
You've seen too much. So we're going to return to last week's show, Frank.
Yes.
Do you remember?
Back to last week.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's giving me a stiff knee now.
Oh, sorry, yeah, we should have warned you then. I had to get under.
What about-
Al's still under the coffee table.
What about Iger? It's ended his entire career.
Yeah, I know. Served him right. He
and
knew what
marriage.
he knew what he was doing.
I'd like to take you back to That'll Do lyrics. Do you remember that, Frank?
Yes, towards the end of last, I mentioned that one of my favourite lyricists is Elvis Costello, who wrote many, many excellent lyrics. But even Homer nods, and he did write one where I was seriously thinking about, he was talking about his radio getting on his nerves. I was seriously thinking about hiding the receiver when the switch broke because it's old. And I had a friend who was also an Elvis Costello, and we always, when that became on, went, we should have reworked that. That was the thing, when Elvis must have said, that'll do.
Yeah.
It'll do, be fine. And we were talking about lyrics that sounded like they've just been shoved in to fill the gap.
Yeah.
And I think we got a couple of good ones, and then we thought we'll save it for next week, so let's hear them.
Well, we've had a few. Paul Jefferson has been in touch regarding Boney M. Rah, rah, Rasputin.
Yeah.
They objected to, it was a shame how he carried on. It was a shame how he carried on.
Yes, it was, though. He was a gigolo and a heavy drinker.
It's like saying he's a little bit naughty, Rasputin.
I like that bit in Kung Fu Fighting when they say the guy's as fast as lightning, but it was a little bit frightening.
Yeah.
And it was a moment where someone is celebrating something. There's a moment of honesty where their self appears, and they say, "I'm going to be straight with you about this, though. For all our admiration, it was a little bit frightening."
And then we have the Seedler,
Oh yeah.
who's pointed out the very disappointing from Doa Deer
Oh yeah.
in The Sound of Music. Obviously, we have my
I
favourite.
know what this is going to be.
Go on.
Is it going to be La, a note to follow, so?
Yes.
Yes. It was a pity. If only they'd been more familiar with the Liverpool accent,
Yes.
they could have come up with something for La. If anyone out there has got it's in the song, he said, do a dear, and it's a way of remembering do, re, mi, fa, etc. So everyone, do a dear, you must know this, me, a name I call myself.
Ray, a drop of gold.
But when they get to La, they're so, a needle pulling thread, La, a note to follow, so is something of, I mean, that'll do. Oh, that'll do. Everyone, that'll do, Max. But if anyone's got a good La other than the Liverpool thing, which I've already kicked out there, let's try and mend that, shall we?
Yeah.
Because it's been broken long time.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We were just discussing ultimate make-do lyrics, as it were.
I worked with Boney M, by the way.
Did you?
I did a
You've
gig.
worked with them all.
I did a gig with Boney M, yeah. Very,
With them all.
very sort of American friendly, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Not real friendly, American friendly.
Okay.
But nice, striking ladies, tall. So I remember it.
Oh, yeah.
I remember at the end of it, I was in the green room and the Chippendales were in there.
Oh, yeah.
In there, remember they used to wear like a bow tie and collar, but no shirt. I think they had the cuffs.
Oh, they always had the cuffs, Frank.
Tremendous physiques.
Yeah.
But they were really staring at me. And I was thinking, how am I going to get out of it? They were really... And I thought, why are they... What? And then I realised I was standing next to the mirror. And they were literally just kept looking across at themselves. God bless them. And then years later, I was following them in not in the street, but in Edinburgh. I was in the show after. I was on after. And one of them left his shoe behind because they get completely naked at the end of the act. I was astonished. No cuffs, no collars.
Yeah.
And one of them left a shoe, and I got the one of my crew to run up the road after them and return the shoe. I didn't want them to be worrying about it. And apparently they were quite, didn't say thank you or anything. So that's them written off.
That's a shame.
Chippendales. Chip on shoulders. That's what I call them. Anyway, we were saying...
Chippy Mills.
That's
Chippy Mills, exactly. Spot on. Spot on, Cochrane.
Thank you. I'd like to return to last week when we were doing our That'll Do lyrics. One of the ones that we had in as a late top contender and agreed to return to this. 342 texted the ultimate make do lyric, of course. Is somebody eating crisps there?
Yeah, Frank,
No,
you know it.
no. I was actually wiping my hands because I've been eating crisps.
Sure, boss, sure. The ultimate make do lyric, of course, is "The movement you need is in your shoulder" from Hey Jude. It was just a marker until Paul thought of something better, but in the end they just went for it.
Yes.
Where is that bit? Movement you need is in your shoulder. Oh, no, that's
Exactly
not
that.
good, is it?
Do you not like that?
I mean,
That's from the...
People talk about Hey Jude because there's a lot of na, but the movement
Is that
you
from the
need-
Long John Silver book of parrot rearing? The movement you need is in your shoulder. L.J. Silver would be if it was a quote that you had on the thing. Well, of course, there's one that my 8-year-old...
I can hear Lucky. Al, say hello.
I think that's my dog barking, everyone.
No, I
just said.
heard it, yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't often, but she's having a go.
Are you being
today.
burgled? Should you go and have a look, see if you're being burgled?
No, I don't think so. I think
Okay.
it'll probably be some kind of bird life in the garden that she's angry at.
Okay, fair enough.
She's got anger issues down there.
Sorry to hear that. Anyway, my son I've mentioned before is mad about Alice Cooper. That is his current obsession. And he even draws like Alice Cooper eyes on his hand and stuff. Anyway, he was on about the line in...
Well, I told you, he said to me recently, when we
School's
went for a
out.
walk, Frank, he said, you know, Alice Cooper's had the jab.
I know. Well, did I ever told you this? He said to me he'd like to phone up Alice Cooper and say, what about innocence? Because you know the bit in School's Out where he says, we ain't got no innocence. We can't even think of a word that rhymes. And I said, innocence isn't a word. He said, he doesn't say it has to be a proper word. And I said, imagine Alice Cooper. How did you get my number? On a innocence. What do you mean, innocence? Who is this? It'd be a great moment. So, but that, we can't even think of a word that rhymes. That's not good enough, is it? Come on, Alice. Pull your slightly blackened finger out.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
We've had a few laws, which are suggestions.
Oh, yeah, that would have improved La and Out to Follow So.
Can I tell you what I like? Big fan of his work is Peter Cunningham. La, a posh bloke telling fibs. Come on.
That's good.
Terrible La.
Isn't that brilliant?
That's really good.
Peter Cunningham.
Yeah, why? See, if you'd have been in the Rogers and Hammerstein office.
Should have been Rogers and Cunningham.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on.
That would have been great. That was better. It's actually better. I mean, I don't know if people would know what a posh bloke was.
And then Paul Lewis has La, a Scouser's busy mate.
Yeah.
But
good.
at least it's descriptive.
Yeah,
you know.
no, it's good. It's good, and it scans beautifully.
Yeah, we've had some lovely
And I
ones.
like they've added Bezzy as well. So if we're going to go colloquial, let's hit the ceiling with it.
And Keith Newman has put. Sorry, Al, just to round up the Lars, has said his doesn't scan. I love the idea, but it needs a bit of work. He's got La, a Teletubby that's not Poe.
Well,
Oh.
yeah.
It's nearly there.
199 has also suggested La, who is good mates with Poe, which I think scans.
They've gone
So
there.
is the one called La then one of the?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Is it La Lot though? Al?
I think it might be La
We're
La.
abbreviating.
I think
we're on-
Cunningham's in first place at the moment.
Okay, yeah.
I like
yeah,
to
I
think that
agree.
we're on first vowel terms with La La.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Or was if they went to a public school, it would be their surname that people called La. It was probably La Minor and La Major if La's brother was there as well. I don't know if they went to public school, the Teletubbies. Wouldn't be surprised. In those days, it was a way in, wasn't it? It was a foot in the door for the BBC.
It was, yeah. To the TV industry.
It was. There's no getting round it.
We've had some Alice Cooper. Sorry, Al.
396 has suggested a fill-in lyric is in True by Spandau Ballet, which apparently has the line, "Why do I find it hard to write the next line?"
Oh, yes, it does.
Well, I'm afraid, while we're on the subject of Spandau Ballet, we've had a few in regarding them because in the same song, in True, we've had Helen in Hertfordshire point out, "I bought a ticket to the world, but now I've come back again." Can you expand on that trip, please?
Very nice. I remember I knew a woman back in Stourbridge when I lived there, and apparently she had said her and her husband were going to go on a world cruise, and they said to the daughter, "We're going to go on a world cruise. You want to come with us?" And she said, "Can't we go somewhere else?" So that's Das.
Oh, well, sorry, I've just got one more Spandau Ballet I've just thought of myself, Frank.
Oh, yeah.
At the beginning of Gold, I mean, absolute banger, that song. I'm sure we'll all agree.
Yeah.
But I've
Do you remember when Christian O'Connell on this very station agreed to play it every time Great Britain got a gold, and then that year we got about 28 golds, driving people absolutely insane.
Well, the first few lines of that he says, "Thank you for coming home." He says, and Tony says, "I'm sorry that the chairs are all worn. I left them here, I could have sworn." Well, are they missing or threadbare?
Yeah.
Make your mind up.
That is. He should have said "gorn."
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, it's nice, isn't it, mending these things, because they've been left, and we can go back and just give them a bit like reupholstery.
Yeah.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
I'd like to bring some breaking news to your attention. It's food news, which I think we're all interested in. Jaffa Cakes are releasing a Jaffa Cake version of a donut, and they're calling it Jaffa Joe Nuts.
Oh, yes. I'm not happy with that.
Already the weariness, Al.
No,
the
but
weariness of the man.
These people who are paid to come up with the brand names couldn't do any better than Jaffa Joe Nuts. It's just They couldn't use this, but it did occur to me that by making it a donut, they're actually stealing a bit of the middle, aren't they? So Well,
they
I think
could have
it's
called them Jaffa Cakes, not
Oh,
Jaffa Cakes. But,
nice.
but that would be just too much of an own goal, they'd be admitting to.
I
Well, they
don't
just
want
call it Jake.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Has it gone a bit Bill Quayle? It's gone a
good.
bit Bill Quayle.
I was thinking Jaffa Cakes. And the O would be the O, it would be the actual chocolate O of the donut.
Also, it sounds
good.
like one of your West Brom mates as well.
Jaffa Cake.
Yeah, they've often got an O on the end of their name.
There's
When will the
probably one of
supermarkets
our
do those?
Irish listeners probably went to school with someone called Jaffa Cakes. Almost certainly.
When supermarkets do their own brand of Jaffa Cakes, have any of them called it Jaffa Fakes?
Oh, man, we are absolutely rocking now.
If they
would
had a
work.
Jaffa Cake tribute band, that would be a great name for them, wouldn't it?
Do you remember? Yeah, I don't see that happening. There was a band called Orange Juice or something. It could be something involved with that. Jaffa Fakes. Do you remember what Salt and Lineker?
I do.
Oh, yeah.
When Walkers they had Cheese and Owen.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
used footballers. I think David Seaman's still waiting by the phone.
Oh, come on, Frank.
But
That's really
if they could have
at
got
this time of day.
if they could have got an endorsement with Rafa Benitez, It could have been Jaffa Cakes. I mean, come on, imagine his big smiley face. They could have got him to wear one like those life things they throw overboard if you fall off a ship. A big one of those with him grinning inside. His big Spanish smile. Oh, lovely. Oh, I think I'll have me a Jaffa Cake. Or his players. The players actually playing for him at the time, as a joke, call them Jaffa Cake.
Oh, that's good.
We got to stop this now.
Yeah.
Frank Skinner. Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Sometimes songs get tampered with and it's fine. Like the Robin Hood theme is used by one of the adverts that we play. You know, the old Robin Hood, Robin Hood. I'm fine with it. It seems to work. But this was such a song I thought was such a cool song to become
what about
Crumbelievable.
Backstreet? Everybody, chicken satay.
Oh, no.
Yes,
You're joking.
they took the cash.
Oh, wow.
Come
Chicken
on.
I have to say,
Backstreet's back,
worked.
all right.
I'm now slightly hungry for chicken sauce.
I'd like to have heard Elton John go, satay, 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 satay.
You will, Oscar, you will.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he doesn't need the money, does he, EJ?
I know, but he spends a lot. These types spend a lot.
He does. He's
Some-
quite spenny.
He's a he's a fast
Quite
living
spenny,
type.
It's like 2 million quid on flowers, wasn't it? When that
2 million
A
quid
lot on
loo
flowers.
paper. Ultra mug is the type that have black loo paper. That's what the real
that's
posh ones
right,
have.
yeah.
Oh, I don't like that.
No one's asking you.
No, black toilet
Fair
paper.
Simon Cowell has it.
I mean, how do you know?
Oh,
Exactly.
Frank.
So,
Let's clean things up. I've got some breaking news.
Oh, yeah?
And this is actually a big reveal in the article about the Jaffa Cake donuts. Apparently, the chocolate bit of the Jaffa Cake is the bottom of the cake, not, as popular people would think, what is a popular thought would be the top of the cake, would be the
take
chocolate bit.
that back. That
Honestly.
is, and I mean, the thing is that when I eat a Jaffa Cake, which I don't do that often, I'll be straight with you, but I did in my youth.
That's fair
I
enough.
know,
They're
but
an
that took
occasional
a-
treat,
Do you know
aren't they?
that took open courage to admit that?
Yeah, it did. But the sponge, I use the sponge as a sort of a plate because once you break the chocolate on the top, you don't want shards of chocolate falling onto the floor from the broken chocolate. If you eat it upside down, it'll be like when a skylight implodes. There'll be chocolate dropping in. I think
Similar.
Willy-nilly.
I can understand that they make it like that. There's a reservoir of chocolate that they float along like
They
little...
dunk it in as it. Yeah,
The
yeah.
thing,
like the Cockleshell Heroes.
well, they've described it. A spokesperson for McVitie's.
Oh,
Easy job.
do you think so?
Yeah, talking about biscuits all day. It's way easier than writing
Can
jokes.
you imagine
and
them
telling
being
it.
really serious, though, Al? Saying, hello, could Gareth Dickinson give me a call back re-hobnobs? I mean,
Yeah.
can you imagine?
And he
bet
just
they
looks
get
at
those.
his piece of paper that just says stuff like crumbly and delicious, and then he phones him back. It's a doddle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Crumbelievable. Hyphen. It's been done. But that's in the notebook.
Yeah.
Well,
I bet they get a lot of free stuff, though.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're the spokesperson for McVitie's and you say, I'm having a kids' party, you're going to get a big
Yeah.
crate come round
you-
of
are you
JC's, Jaffos,
do you think
Jaffo,
do you think they've all
Jaffo
pulled
cake.
the ripcord? I mean, it'd be tough
yeah.
not to.
No, I think you... I think you... after a bit, you go mad at first and then you learn a little restraint, I think.
That's good, that insight into working for McVitie's.
Yeah.
Frank Skinner, who's never set foot in there.
Maybe they should have had hat-shaped biscuits and called them Jaff the Hat McVitie, which was
that's
the guy who the Crays, I think, finally got arrested. In fact, I actually interviewed Charlie Cray, who was done for disposing of the
Yeah,
bottle.
I'm not
Like
sure
I
whether
say,
he would have been
you flirt with them all.
appropriate for the brand.
They don't have to go in.
Jaff the Hat.
They don't have to go into all that on the packaging. They can just, those who get it, and those who don't, can eat in oblivion.
Yeah.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, or email the show via the Absolute Radio website.
Ultra Magnus. I do like to kick off a link with him because he's one of our regulars. We've been talking about Jaffa Cakes. They're not Jaffa Cakes. What are they called, Al?
Oh, Jaffa Joe nuts. No.
Jaffa Cakes is what they should be called.
Ultra Magnus has said, while you're on the subject of pun foods, I'd like to know if there's an ice cream man who's calling himself the Wolf of Wall's Treats. If not, there's a gap in the market there.
I hope so. And can you imagine how many locksmiths at the moment are doing I'm a key worker jokes?
Yes.
Lucky them for having such an opportunity.
Yeah, fair play.
While we're on the subject of the punning food, we were discussing the Jaffa Joe nut. I had
Not a pun, really, is it? Just poor. Very poor.
I'd referred to a spokesperson from McVitie's.
If they'd have had, if they'd made them the Jaffa wheel, then they could have had a spokesperson.
That's good.
Because of
Bill Quayle. A spokesperson from McVitie's. You were talking about the chocolate, boys, and where it was placed. Not this time on the top, but
on the bottom. I think they sail along a little river of chocolate and gather it up.
Sounds great.
Well, can I say the McVitie spokesperson described it thus? Someone has a text going off.
Oh, yeah.
Frank Skinner? I think it'll be Frank.
It's not me.
It's not me. Alan Cochrane?
I haven't had a text since 2008.
You have? You get Who alerts.
Oh, Who alerts? They're not texts, though, as such.
You got something about Terry Nation once. I saw it on your Nokia.
Well, you know.
Anyway, the McVitie spokesperson... This is becoming like Kubla Khan, trying to finish it. The McVitie's spokesperson...
I really want to know. He's been talking for 2 links. He said nothing. I know how that feels.
Tell me about it.
I'll lead you into it. Emily, what did the McVitie's spokesperson have to say about these shenanigans?
He or she...
I said person.
Said, you did. This essentially enrobes the bottom in chocolate. They said it enrobes the bottom in chocolate. So we can...
kind of sleazy vibe.
Enrobes, exactly. It's a bit... I tell you what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking Alfred Molina in Boogie Nights. Yes. In that dressing gown, that robe, setting off firecrackers. I got the right film, haven't I?
It's very... Yeah.
Great scene.
It's very... The enrobed chocolate...
Oh, I don't want an enrobed chocolate.
It's a little bit Playboy Mansion.
Enrobed to me is dressing gown, but definitely not straight from the shower. Enrobed to me is shower pending.
Oh,
that's what I'm saying.
Gross.
And I do not want that in a biscuit. Is it a biscuit or a cake? I don't know if that's ever. Remember, there was a long,
cake. It's the whole
tedious. There was a court case or something. I think it was. Apparently, it was a tax thing. If you could prove
VAT,
it was one or the other.
Oh, you don't want to get sucked into that.
I mean, I've paid a great deal of tax VAT over the years, and it's good to know that it's rationalised in such a balanced and sensible way as people are talking about whether it's a biscuit or a cake.
Oversharing radio.
Sorry, everyone. I thought
humble brag.
I thought the music was on,
I paid a great deal of tax over the years.
Look at it.
Breakfast radio show, Frank.
I think the M3 is one of mine.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We're talking...
Sometimes we
Sometimes when we touch. Come on, everybody. The honesty's too much. I had a really big urge to sing that to a doctor once during what I thought was a rather too detailed medical.
Oh.
I know, you told me that. Makes me sick.
Yeah, it made me sick as well.
did it?
It did
Certainly
eventually.
made you cough a bit.
Anyway. No.
Sometimes we get texts to the show that I just admire the brevity, like how direct it is. We were talking about Jaffa Cakes moments ago. Jaffa Cake, cake or biscuit, that sort of thing. 019 has texted, biscuits go soft, cakes go hard, love the show. Normally I don't read praise, but I felt like it just completed the sentence. It's good stuff.
It's interesting. Do they have,
apparently that's the thing.
Do they have blood Jaffa Cakes?
No, but as M&K have pointed out, they do have cherry Jaffa Cakes.
No, but if you get a blood orange, I don't see why you can't have a blood Jaffa Cake.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure.
Wouldn't that be a nice little thing? A bit of red in the...
Oh, no, that would be horrible.
Okay.
M&K
For
has
Valentine's,
said,
maybe.
have
Yeah.
you tried cherry Jaffa Cakes Pure Decadence? Can you say... I mean, are they maraschino cherries? That really doesn't appeal to me.
What about when I... Remember I looked up...
an expert.
I was round a friend's house and he looked up the contents of glacé cherries and it said something like 67% cherry. And then we all said, so, get your notebook out. We'll see if we can work out what the hell else is in there. So,
Quite a lot of different names for sugar.
You don't really get that in the cocktail as much as one used to in our day.
I'll tell you an interesting Jaffa Cake fact. In Japan, they have green tea Jaffa Cakes.
No.
So the jelly is green tea flavoured, yeah? You heard it here
Sounds
first.
horrible.
I don't know. I quite like it in itself. Done a bit of yoga.
Well, I was brought...
Sit down with a green tea Jaffa Cake.
I was once brought... I think it might have been Jimmy Carr on a trip. I was brought some differently flavoured Kit Kats from Japan. I think he brought me home a green tea Kit Kat.
Oh, there you go. It's obviously very popular there. One of my great shocks was going to a McDonald's in Korea. Not a McDonald's, sorry. I'm talking now about the queen of the junk foods, the KFC. I went to KFC and the batter was different. You know the whole idea with the batter is that there's three main ingredients that are kept separately in Louisville, Kentucky, and no one knows what they're all... And it's a real big hoo-ha about it. It was different. It was
all right,
different
chicken
texture.
man.
Okay, just helping you out. If you're on to Korea...
You take your KFC as seriously as Emily takes cherries.
I do. Forewarned is forearmed for any happy days when you can go back to Korea and you stroll into a KFC. Maybe not quite what you expect.
Okay.
I like you said that bit at the end was a bit policeman. Maybe we'll see.
Sean Taylor.
We'll see, shall we? Yeah.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
We've had a text in from Ian Angle, regular correspondent, 740. They do lots of various chocolates in the East. You must have heard of those Chinese whispers.
Oh, very fine.
Breathe out now. Felt a bit nervous then. Jeff Featherstone. Oh, he sounds my type of man.
Yeah.
Alice Cooper. My daughter had two guinea pigs, Olga and Alice. Olga was named after a guinea pig in a book, but Alice was because we couldn't think of anything that rhymed with Olga. Hence, Alice Cooper, we can't think of a word that rhymes.
Oh, wow. That's very fine work.
Lovely work, Jeff.
Of course, my strange experience with Alice Cooper is I interviewed him on my long defunct chat show. And
interesting way of describing it.
I mean, honestly, yeah.
In the midst of the interview, I experienced what the ancient Greeks used to call agape, and I felt utter love for him. But I mean, a pure love. For those of you who believe in this sort of thing, some pontificate, as we say in the Catholic Church, that that is how we shall all feel for each other in the afterlife.
Oh, yeah.
You pays your money, you takes your choice. But anyway, wherever it is, I felt this, and not like I was a big fan of his or anything.
Really?
I don't know what it was, but I felt genuine human connection with him for about a minute and a half, and I couldn't tell him lest he should become embarrassed. You don't want to be blushing in that makeup. No. And
That's what you said to me a few times.
And you'd look like Darth Maul. So it was very weird because I had it with you. I remember once, and we were in a cafe, and you went across the road to get something. As you walked back, I felt tremendous, but I mean not love in the purest form. And I understood it with you. We're old friends, but Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
What you talk about, Willis?
Lewis Elliot Davis has got in touch.
Doesn't he make those little lights that you get in things? LED.
Lovely. He says, regarding Schools Out, when performing live, Alice Cooper often replaces the word innocence with the word intelligence.
Oh.
It does work better when followed by we can't even think of a word that rhymes.
Yeah, of course.
So, how does it go then, the lyric? I'm all over
Well, it's
this
all
shop.
we ain't got no, and there's all the things you haven't got.
Intelligence.
Then we ain't got no innocence. We can't even think of a word that rhymes. Is what he says.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we ain't got no intelligence, though. Seems very self-aware for these ebullient children.
It's all gone a bit Pink Floyd The Wall.
Oh, what's
Yes.
the line?
Hey, Provost, leave those kids alone.
Sometimes I just remember that and it makes me laugh. I often can't get the word, though. I say purser. It's very embarrassing. I hate it when someone retells one of your jokes and they undercut, they get something slightly wrong that you've carefully crafted. I don't want to be that guy.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Did either of you see this survey this week which listed the definitive 40 signs of being posh?
Oh, yes. Some surprising.
Well,
Yes.
one thing it also said, 81% of people said having money doesn't make you posh.
No,
Thoughts
God
and prayers,
knows.
Frank.
God knows I've tried.
48% of people said they knew someone who they would consider properly posh.
Okay.
Now, you definitely know someone posh, Frank, because the poshest person I've ever heard of was that doctor you met once,
Oh, yes.
who said of his handwriting...
He said, yes, when I did handwriting at school, I rather tried. And he also said I was taught by Traitor Blunt's brother. So it is, no one. And Emily, I know you have at your fingertips one of the most neat classifications of the difference between the working class and the posh. And it's from 7 Up, which, in case you don't know, is a regular documentary series that looks at kids as they've grown up. Every 7 years it looks at them. And they deliberately chose some working class kids and some very proper posh kids.
And they interviewed, I don't know if anyone remembers Tony, who went on to become a taxi driver.
Did he want to be a jockey? Was he in?
Yeah, he said, I want to be a jockey. And they asked him, the interviewer, the very 1960s earnest BBC interviewer, said, and what do you make of private school children? And he said, Tony responded, the posh ones, you just have to touch them.
And there you have the difference. The posh ones, you just have to touch them.
There you go.
Yeah.
So this survey had a list of things. On this list were things, I don't know if you saw this, but a gilet, a coat of arms. Don't have either of those. I failed this
A
test.
gilet, of course, is the very opposite of a coat of arms.
Yes,
I
very
don't have a
good.
coat of arms. I have a coat of Armani, but that's it.
Very good.
Arga, don't have that. You have that, Frank.
I don't have an arga.
You got
you
an
not?
arga?
All right, don't get defensive.
Oh, sorry.
Just have to touch
I'm
them.
trying to think of it. If it's the one somewhere I haven't noticed. No, we don't have an arga.
What were the other things? Wine cellar?
I'll tell you what I do have. It's,
You've got a cellar out.
one of the
I've
things
got a
that
cellar,
they
I'm in it.
said was bookshelves full of books was one of the signs of the posh.
I'm posh.
Yeah,
I'm posh. I got books.
I'm worried. I'm
Yeah,
worried that people
books.
say that. I saw a thing on
That
eBay.
makes lots of pubs posh.
Well, it's.
I do find
let me-
houses without books a bit strange.
Yeah, but let me tell you something. I was on eBay, and I found. I'm going to put this on on our social media. You could buy books. I've bought a great many books on eBay, but this was a set of 5 green books.
What, to match the interiors?
And it says
About the environment.
decorative hardback antique vintage books. And you buy them. It doesn't say what their titles are or anything. You just buy them for their colours. So I'm gonna put it on our doodah because that was one of those what's gone wrong with the world moments.
You buy books for the spine, the spine shade.
For decorative hardbacks, they call. Oh no! I'll tell you something. Do you think you can spot posh people without hearing them speak?
Absolutely.
I'll tell you what.
Sometimes.
I'm interested.
Oh, first giveaway, red trousers.
All this a generalisation. Yeah, well, unless you're a B&Q. But
Or the circus.
as a generalisation, I think there are more blonde posh people than blonde non-posh people.
Yeah.
There must be some sort of... I don't know
right.
if the blondes invested in a lot of Scandinavian partners, but, there's something going on there. So blondness is my first port of call when I'm assessing someone on these grounds.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
We were discussing the poshness list. There's a few things on there that I actually think aren't quite so posh. So apparently using people's surnames is one. And I didn't go to a posh school, but people seem to call me Cochrane a lot. I don't know why. They would really emphasise it again and again at school.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's that posh.
But I think didn't you make an attempt to adopt a sort of Madonna persona where you only used one name for some, like Prince? Seem to remember you telling me that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been it. I mean, Cochrane would actually be a good name for the sort of person who collaborates with someone on the Brits. If that was just their one name.
Yes.
Just me and MC, what's his name?
MC,
Cochrane.
yeah. And what,
Yes.
MC Mingle? Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
He might be a bit out of your league at the moment, Cochrane.
The late Johnny Cochrane, lawyer of O.J. Simpson,
Oh,
was
yeah.
referred to
Yeah.
as Cochrane regularly. They also had on this list, do you laugh very loudly and call everyone darling? Yes, of course.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that just essentially makes me Christopher Biggins. That doesn't make me posh.
I don't think laughing loudly is a posh thing, is it? If it is, actually,
It's
that would
on the list.
explain a lot of my gigs.
It's all-
Yeah, and I'll tell you what's a good one, that posh people don't hit, and I don't know quite what age it happens, where mummy and daddy become mum and dad.
yeah.
And posh
Right,
people...
they don't have that.
Prince
never do
Charles, Prince Charles has a running gag when he says, I was speaking to Her Majesty the Queen, Mummy.
Yeah.
I've seen him do it about 4 times. He knows. He knows.
Has he got material?
Yeah, that's his material. That is his material.
Well,
That's funny.
there was a girl I worked with at InStyle who was probably in the top 5 poshest people I'd ever met. And you know how sometimes you'd go on holiday and people in offices bring back, just so you two are aware of this, bring back sweets as a gift, like, I've been
yeah,
away.
No, I knew that.
Hate
Okay.
stuff like
I
that.
didn't think it would happen in the fashion industry.
No. Well, Tic Tacs maybe they'd bring
Okay.
back. But she came back
I
after
bought some tissues. We can all eat those at lunchtime.
some Smints. Diet. She returned from holiday and she had a sort of wicker basket and said, I've brought some apples from Mummy's orchard.
Oh, wow, that's great. That's great. I used to call my mum and dad when I got older Ma and Pa,
I love that.
which I think I got partly from Superman comics with Ma and Pa Kent, who found his little rocket, but also in Bonanza, they used to call their dad Pa. I remember Horse Cartwright, Hoss informally, once said G. Willikers Pa, and everyone was saying it at school the next day. So, I don't know where Ma and Pa fits in the class thing. There's a lot of it about if you had your own wine cellar. Of course.
Yes.
Now, if me, my dad and my two brothers had our own wine cellar, we would have been found dead in it.
Goodness
So
me.
maybe that's the big
Cheery
difference.
What a lovely note to end the show on.
Yes. And anyway, thanks so much for listening this week. My brand new poetry podcast begins on Wednesday. It'll be available then. Have a listen to that. Go on. And you know what? If the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now get out.